In today's economy, more people than ever are looking to buy and sell businesses. But how do you do it? Welcome to the Deal Board, presented by Transworld Business Advisors. Straight talk about real deals and real people. Listen to stories, interviews, and expert advice to help your business sale, merger, or acquisition process. Now, here are your business exit experts, Andy and Jessica.
Welcome back, everybody. And today we have an episode about growing and doing business in Australia. And it's actually going to be our first in a series of 2 episodes about doing business in Australia. And Andy, you were just able to travel out there and record all these great interviews for us too.
Yeah, I was out there for United Franchise Group Expo. We had a great time. The Australian contingency of Sinorama, fully promoted, Transworld, and of course the UFG staff, very hospitable people over there. Lots of fun, and it is a beautiful, beautiful country.
Yeah. Well, I know you picked up lots of great interviews while you were there too. I mean, one was Ray Titus, who's the CEO of United Franchise Group. We've had Ray on the show before. He's always great to talk to. But I mean, he had some great takeaways about doing business in Australia. And I know he talked a lot about why they entered Australia because it's such a big market, right?
It's a huge market. It's 25 million people population. It's the 6th largest country as far as landmass goes. There's a lot of extra land there in Australia. I mean, populations obviously hovered around the southeast side in Sydney and Melbourne and Gold Coast and all those areas. And then, of course, on the west side in Perth. And but it's a great a great country to do business. Ray Titus, great story that he was approached by someone to go to Australia. He went to Australia and he says, "Wait a second, why am I giving this away?" And they've been very successful over the years, and he'll tell you why. And yeah, great. We did the episode 6:30 in the morning on the way to the airport after a great expo. So Ray's in rare form.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you also had the opportunity to talk to a couple Australian business owners that have been able to expand, and some of them through mergers and acquisitions some of them mostly in the graphic and sign arena, but through Australia, New Zealand. I think one's trading on the Japanese stock exchange now, right?
Yes. That was, I believe that was Spicer's, and Wayne Hood was my interview. Great guy. Been with the company for a while, and he tells the story of how they've grown and what form they're in. I also interviewed Mark Canavan from Graphic Art Mart, and again, another business that's grown into and it seems like everybody kind of, once they grow into Australia, they're looking at New Zealand as kind of like the whole area, and they grow and they have different regional kind of things in Australia, and they talk about that. And then Gary Malcolm of JB Ware. He's in Victoria, and again, another company that's grown extremely well. And it's great stories, and it really kind of hits on, the really dynamic marketplace there. I hate to say it's very much like America, because it's not. But if you're going to expand your business anywhere in the world from America, this is a great podcast to listen to. And Australia, very safe country, monetarily very similar to ours. Australian dollars, it's about 70 cents, I think, right now, 75 cents. And then it also has very similar kind of laws. Labor laws are a little bit stricter, so some which we'll talk about in the next podcast. But it's a great place to do business.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like we've talked about before on the podcast, that we are in a global economy now. And if you're thinking about expanding your business, you should think about expanding globally. While Australia is a completely different country than the US, and there's lots of differences, there is good things about that being your first expansion globally. I mean, it's culturally very similar, English speaking language. So if you're going from the US to another country, it's a very good first step into the global marketplace. And hopefully today, this podcast gives you a little bit of understanding of why you would go into a market like Australia, what you should be aware of, and also some examples of how some other companies have expanded in that marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, just someone going out on the Japanese market, very kind of Asian centric, right? So they're doing a lot of business with China, a lot of goods come in from China. There's not a lot of things that are kind of made in Australia. There's a lot of minerals and natural resources that they're exporting to China, and then they come back as goods. And like you said, the only downside of doing business in Australia is it's a long way away.
It's a long way from everything. I have some friends in Australia and they're like, yeah, you have to get on a plane to go anywhere, really. And, I think that's the downside, but it is a beautiful country. It's a great market, a growing market. So hopefully you take some stuff out of today's podcast. Like I said, this is a part 1 of 2. So our second podcast will be about buying and selling businesses in Australia, which should be coming up in the next week or so.
Yep. Great. So let's get to it.
Let's do it.
Transworld Business Advisors is the world's largest business brokerage and mergers and acquisitions firm with over 500 brokers in nearly 200 offices worldwide. Transworld's team handles thousands of business sales every year. To be connected with a qualified business broker or learn more about the buying and selling process, visit tworld.com/the deal board or call 888-719-9098.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. And I have a very special guest. I have Gary Malcolm from JB's Wear. They are a larger company here in Australia and New Zealand, he was just telling me. And I'm going to let him do some of the talking and tell you a little bit about JB's Wear. But again, another interesting business owned by a salesperson, which has an interesting flair to it. So, Gary, welcome.
Thank you. So we're a privately owned business. We have 3 warehouses in Australia, 1 in New Zealand. Our head office is Melbourne, which we have 17,000 square metres of warehousing. Moving into a new one this weekend in Perth, which will be 5,000 square metres, purpose-built. Auckland's 5,000, and our smallest, which is in Brisbane, which is 4,000. So our next project is to make Brisbane a bit larger.
Right. And so you're providing all kinds of clothing, importing clothing?
Yeah, we do anything from T-shirts to polo shirts to outerwear to workwear to work boots to safety, PPE products.
Right.
So, yeah, we cover a wide range.
And you're selling them to the wholesale trade?
We only sell to a reseller base, so we do not do any end-user business whatsoever. So BHP or Coca-Cola or any of those could come to us and we won't sell to them.
Right.
You must be a reseller.
So you must be a reseller. Yeah, and obviously Fully Promoted is one of the brands that uses you as their supplier for clothing.
Yeah, so we've been with Fully Promoted. And
Embroidered Me before that, right? Sure.
Embroidered Me before
I know
that.
you're all getting used to that here, the new branding here in Australia. So,
So we came on board with them, I think, when the first store opened here at North Sydney. So we've been with them probably about 16 years.
Right.
Whenever the first store opened. So we came on board from day one as a preferred supplier and been with them ever since.
How long's the company been around?
About 23, 24 years.
Nice, long, established business. And you said something interesting, which privately held business. Obviously, we love privately held businesses because we love entrepreneurs. And it's owned by a salesperson. Why do you say that?
Well, the beauty of being a salesperson is they don't tend to look at how much stock's on the shelf. They believe in the scenario of you can't sell from an empty shed. So we don't have any stock issues. We as things get tougher, we tend to lift our stock holdings. So when people want large quantities, we've got it sitting there.
Right. So
An accountant counts the numbers.
Yeah, sure. And in this, kind of just in time kind of world where people are, and then I just talked about it in my speech, where people are so last minute, they want to order something and they want it right then. And so they need logistic companies like you to stock things locally. And especially when you're here in Australia and New Zealand, I mean, where you're importing from mostly?
Predominantly China. We have our own office in China, so we do all our own quality. We don't own the factories, but we do all our own quality control. They're our employed staff.
Right.
We use Bangladesh predominantly for our T-shirting.
Right.
But I would say 95% of our product
is
China.
So when you're bringing in product, it's like you can't call them up tomorrow and have it here the next day.
No, we got 3 to 4 month lead time.
3 to 4 month lead time, so you have stuff on the water all the time.
Yeah, we have a very, very good inventory control manager. and he manages what's on our shelf, what's on the water, what's in manufacturing, and then determines what we need. And you need to work on about 12 months worth of
12 months worth. And so how much, you said you had millions and millions of items. I mean, do you have any idea what the inventory levels are?
Looking up reports, yes, I do. It's probably they're the sort of things we probably don't tend to reveal.
Okay,
Sorry,
that's fine.
that's the part of being privately owned.
The point is you have a lot of inventory.
Stuff,
a lot of inventory, and so you're able to service customers very quickly. And in this day and age, it is really important. We see that a lot, and opening up industrial space is getting harder and harder to come by because it's not brick and mortar so much anymore. It's people wanting to work with companies like yours to get inventory quickly.
Yeah. So, and our warehousing is all automated. So,
right.
That people can key their order in online into our system, drop straight into our warehouse, picked, packed, and out the door.
Amazing. So lots of technology.
Work the systems, and the business will work for you.
All right. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with JB's Wear here in Australia and order some stuff from you because they're a reseller, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, they can contact our head office in Melbourne. And you can do that by phoning. And the customer service team, the accounts team, they will send out a form for you to fill in. We don't give any pricing, any information out over the phone. No good looking at our website. That will direct you to us. We don't have any contact details through that.
There you go.
We need to protect our resellers.
Sure, that's a great. In this day and age where people are just trying to go direct to consumer, it's nice to have a company like you that the resellers can fall back on and be protected by.
Yeah. So to contact us, you won't find JB's listed anywhere. It's the company is Tesco, TSCO Proprietary Limited.
Right.
And that's the only way you'll.
Okay. Great, Gary. Great. Thanks for coming on. Give us a little window into the importing world here in Australia. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, Andy, do you know what time it is? It's time for our deal of the week.
Deal of the week. Sold.
Hey, we're back, and it is Deal of the Week, and I am with Tony Hancock from Transworld of Gold Coast. I'll get it right eventually. And we're going to talk about a deal that he just finished. He just settled on. So, Tony, tell us a little bit about it.
A small franchisor, and we picked him up nearly 12 months ago. It's been a tough one to go. He had 5 different franchise divisions, and had them a national program set for them, but only actually started to fill up franchisees on one of them, which is a lawn mowing one. He had 30 franchisees within it. And we ended up getting someone that was interested just in those lawns, so they didn't value any of the others. So we ended up convincing him to hold on to the IP for the others. We've sold the lawn franchise, and that one settled last week. So we're all done and dusted on that. He got a multiple of 2 times his earnings. So that was good for that one. And we're now sitting on the IP, which is a different scenario now. We've got a new listing.
Sure. So the buyer on that one, was it a strategic buyer or just an individual that wanted to grow the brand?
It was an individual. A expat picked up the ad in England. So he was living in England at the time, picked up the ad. So a protracted negotiation while we're from different countries. He flew out, did a quick due diligence, and then flew back to England and came back out about 2 weeks prior to settlement. And we settled everything, got it all done.
Well, we're good at that. We're good at getting buyers from all over the world to buy some of our businesses, right?
Yeah.
So good deals for good people. And Tony, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to sell another business, how best to do that?
Go straight through to the Transworld site and locate down to Gold Coast, or if you want to look us up on LinkedIn, Tony Hancock on LinkedIn and Transworld, you'll pick us up through that way as well.
Excellent. Tony, thanks so much. Great deal.
Too easy. Thanks, Andy.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. And I have a very special guest. I have Mark Canavan from Graphic Art Mart here in Australia, and they are a countrywide company. He'll tell you a little bit more about it now, but they are in the graphic supply business for sign manufacturers. Again, he could tell you a little bit more about it. They were acquired a couple of years ago, so we could talk a little bit about that. It's always, this is about business acquisitions, and but today we are talking about the Australian market, and I think it's a very interesting company. They have kind of a traditional supply, but they seem to be applying kind of new day customer service, and I'm wasting my breath just talking about it. Mark, welcome to the show. Give us a little bit of background about Graphic Art Mart, and tell us what you do and what your role is in the company.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me, Andy. So Graphic Art Mart is a national supplier to the sign and graphics industry. We have been operating in Australia for well over 45 years. Family founded business, but has experienced a fair bit of growth in the last 5 years in particular. So
yeah, you were talking about that.
Yeah, so we initially were founded in New South Wales, expanded into Queensland, and in the last 5 years we've added another 5 sites to the business. So we have now operations two in New South Wales, 2 in Victoria, 1 in Queensland, 1 in Perth, and 1 in Adelaide. So we have good national coverage.
Right.
Very much a service-oriented business. So looking to support customers with really highly skilled technical people, both in customer service and in field sales, helping them sort of solve problems in the signs and the graphics industry. So we have a broad range of products and services that we provide to the market, and we obviously are a preferred partner with the Signorama Group here in Australia as well. So, as I said, we've experienced a lot of growth, and I think that's on the back of the broad portfolio that we have. We align with some key brands and make sure that our people are really technically competent as well. So. And I think on the back of that, we've certainly seen some strong growth in the last 5 years in particular.
Yeah, and strong growth in a time where many Australians that I talk to about the current economic activity with the Royal Bank Commission and with the elections, it seemed like not a time for growth. But obviously, you took advantage perhaps of that maybe lull that other people were. Had their heads in the ground, and you decided to expand.
Yeah, I think that there's no doubt that the market has been tough in the last couple of years in particular, but that's really just meant that we've had to be pretty creative with our partners and with our customers around new product development, new services, and making sure that we can bring value to customers and make it easy for them. So our customers really want to have that support and be able to talk to people that can help them solve problems and come up with creative ways to sort of to grow their own businesses. So we really have tried to invest in people that have a great deal of experience and knowledge to be able to solve those problems for our customers.
Yeah, and it sounds like you also stock the items that they need as well. It sounds like you have a pretty big inventory.
Absolutely, yeah. We as I said, we have 7 sites, and all of our sites stock pretty much all of the products that we sell. So there's a huge amount of inventory investment in our business, but we really try and manage that and make sure that we're holding the right products in the right locations to support customers. As I said, we're a national business, so we're able to get product to most customers either same day or next day, and we also have a good online ordering system as well, which where customers can order online and have the products dispatched as well. So.
Right, and we were talking about at this conference the customer experience. So you have a great knowledge base employees that are able to solve problems for them. You have the product ready to rock, and you have the ability for them to order in an easy, convenient way.
Sure. And I think also we align with key brands as well. So we represent major brands in the market. People like to deal with tried and tested brands, and we represent them. So it's important for our suppliers for them to be represented in the market by a strong partner that acts as an intermediary between the customer and the supplier as well. So
yeah, and it was a family business that grew through some funding that you did a deal with an American company.
Yeah, so we've been a family business for many years, and then just a number of years ago, we were acquired by a larger family or group of businesses. Metal Manufacturers is our parent company here in Australia. So a huge amount of experience in distribution businesses worldwide. But they've really given us the ability to continue that growth and expansion and let us run our own business, really. So we've got the backing of a big organisation, but we still have remained the DNA has stayed the same.
That sounds like the perfect acquisition partner, that someone gives you the tools to succeed as far as money to grow from 2 to 7 locations. And basically stay out of your hair. So it sounds like they're doing a good job.
Pretty much so, yeah.
Yeah, so great business. Thank you so much for coming on today and talking about it and talking about the Australian marketplace as well. And I really appreciate your support of the expo here for Sinorama and all the UFG brands. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Andy.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. And we are here with Wayne Hood from Spicers. An incredible, again, supply company in the sign industry. They do a lot of different things. They just went through a big merger and acquisition, which Wayne will talk a little bit about. But Wayne, I love talking to businesses and understand their structure for a business that lasted over 100 years, you say?
More than 100 years we've been supplying the graphics industry in Australia and around the world.
I mean, 100 years ago, were they making signs with chisels? I mean,
more so in the paper. We were known as a paper merchant,
right?
And selling. We had pulp and paper. We had forests. We had paper mills in the original days, and that's transitioned through to being a paper merchant now. And a sign. We've divested or diversified rather into sign and display and into architectural spaces.
And you covered a whole country, right?
We're a national. We're the largest 3M distributor in Australia for sign and display and architectural and window films.
Right. So how does a business last for 100 years? I mean,
it needs to be progressive all the time. We always need to be looking at how do you go to the next level or the next step. We need to watch where the market goes. We're always looking for opportunity to help our customers. Not only do us to diversify, but to help them diversify into new areas where they can then look at making different opportunities happen for them.
Right. So making your customers help them make money, right?
That's right.
I mean, that's the game. You help make people successful and they're going to make you successful. And so, and we're talking about customer service here at the expo this week. And you were talking about Spicer's customer service is second to none. I mean,
we certainly we aim to have the best customer service in the country, and we do that in a number of ways. We look at one is having an on-the-road sales team. We have excellent customer service in the office for anybody that phones into us, and the third way is we have our own transport systems as well. So we are able to just about get anything anywhere in the country next day service. We also look at how do we take a product to market? So we have a team that actually specializes in talking to major brands or major advertising agencies, talking just about product, not actually selling the final object, but selling the concepts. So when they're looking for signage or to do something in display, they have an idea of what products can be used where, and they talk to. So just a flow through. We also now take those concepts of talking to the major brands or major advertising agencies, we actually take and will help all our customers do the same presentation to their customers.
Right. So it's a consultative sale. I mean, you're certainly not pushing product or pushing materials.
Not all the time. No, we do like the transactional sales.
Of course.
That's where the money is.
Right.
But for us to grow, we need to help our customers grow.
Right. So, and you were talking about that your company was just acquired / it was a public company here in Australia. Now it's on the Japanese market.
That's right. We originally were Paper Links, listed as Paper Links, changed to Spicers a couple of years ago, and as of July, KPP, a Japanese publicly listed company, acquired all the shares on the stock exchange. And so we've actually delisted off Australia, but now are part of the KPP brand or organization, worldwide organization. They are in 26 countries around the world.
Right. Big company, and obviously with lots of resources to help you grow.
Absolutely. We certainly they're looking to invest into us. So looking at new opportunities to diversify ourselves, also looking for new opportunities to maybe do some acquisitions around, not necessarily just for spices, but they're looking at acquisitions around the world. They're looking at, and for us in this market, which for Signorama or Fast Science,
fully promoted.
Is it Fast Science in New Zealand?
So
we have New Zealand as well. So there's that whole growth sector for that as well.
Yeah,
and diversification.
Yeah, and it sounds like an incredible business, something that's been around for a long time, and you're doing a great job of continuing to grow it with partners and resources. And a little shout out to my M&A team. Look them up. They're on the acquisition trail. And you can see we're talking about customer service and the way businesses are changing and speed to market. These type of companies are what's backing that instantaneous, like people wanting products so quickly, right?
But it's not just the quickness. I think customers should be looking at brands as well that are going to give them support. That's probably more important than just speed to market. We've seen a number of imports come into the country where it's an inferior product and there's no back end support. Having the brand, having it local, and being able to go speed to market, but then having the confidence that the brand is backing the group.
Yeah, so the proverbial "you get what you pay for" is it rings
Absolutely.
true. And so we're seeing that it's not about price. It is about making sure that when you buy something, you have the support from the manufacturer and the distributor that you're going to be able to,
That's right.
get the right thing to your customers, because the customers won't come back, right?
That's right. In the Signorama Group, we have, as the largest 3M distributor, we have a number of Signoramas that have now achieved what we call 3M Select Partnership,
right?
Which means that 3M actually advertise them on their website as their preferred select partners. So anybody coming in and looking for products, they will be directed from 3M into those people.
Obviously benefits with working with market leaders like Spicers. So Wayne, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us at the show.
Thank you for your support.
Hey, Jessica, you know what time it is?
Money time?
Almost. It's time for Listing of the Week.
Hey, we're back, and it is Listing of the Week, and I'm with Tony Hancock from Transworld of Gold Coast. I don't know why I keep tripping on that, but it's okay. We are actually here in the Gold Coast, and we're enjoying our expo. And Tony has a brand new listing, a franchisee, right? A
Franchisee, that's right, Andy. We picked up a Hydro Clean, so it's an Australian franchise brand that they've got a few visions of going global, but the local franchisee here for the Gold Coast, he's decided that he's now looking for a change in life. He got in contact with us. Interestingly enough, he was actually managing Hydro Clean's franchisee sales, so he knows how to sell businesses or franchises. And he still chose Transworld. He looked through Google and saw some reviews and did a few inquiries himself and gave me a call. So he dropped around to see him. Took a little while to get him across the line because he was thinking he could still maybe do it himself.
Right.
And ended up saying, no, let's put this to bed, and signed the deal last week to go to market with us.
Yeah, we always tell people selling your business by yourself is sort of like doing your own heart surgery, right? It's a little difficult to do. So tell us a little bit about the business. How much are they asking?
He's only asking 150. 150 includes vehicle and all equipment. He's actually got double equipment. So for a normal franchise, you'd be coming into one machine. He's got this. So the benefit is we're able to expand out. A new franchise would be about $80,000 to buy a new franchise with.
Right.
And he's got trading net SDE of around about the 150. He only wants the 150 for it. So
Right.
we're hoping it should be a quick turnaround.
One-time multiple. It sounds like a great business. Obviously, a motivated seller and a franchisor. So, Tony, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Again, go through the Transworld Australia website and look for Gold Coast as a location, and you'll pick up both myself and my business partner, Jim Roddy, or look up either of us on LinkedIn, and you'll find us pretty quickly through there as well.
Great business. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, we're back, and we have our very special guest, Ray Titus, my partner at United Franchise Group, and we are talking about Australia and doing business in Australia. And there's no one better to talk to than Ray. Ray brought his companies to Australia. He's done it over and over again, and it's just great to hear an American success story working with another country like Australia and doing really well. Ray, welcome, and give us a little background to why you came to Australia.
Well, thanks, Andy. Australia was really a different type of story for our company. It wasn't, I would love to sit here and tell you that we planned it out in strategic planning the way we do things today. But back then, it was over 20 years ago, I was at a trade show in Washington, D.C., and a father and son from Australia came to America and wanting to take the Sinorama brand to Australia and offered us a lot of money, and we came down to visit. I came down to visit, and after about 3 days of being in Australia, Sydney and Melbourne, I decided it was too valuable. They were not offering us enough. And besides that, I felt very, very comfortable with the people and the business atmosphere. So I started making phone calls back to the States and asked a couple different people if they'd be willing to relocate to Australia, but found regional vice president Howard Greenfield, moved for 3.5 years to Australia to lead operations down here. And he and I had an agreement that he would move, but I would have to come down once a quarter to help. And for the first 10 years, I came once a quarter. And whether it was at a trade show or conferences with the franchise owners, just finishing up my 53rd trip to Australia. So we have a saying at United Franchise Group that if you want to grow, you have to go. And that's really a commitment right from the CEO or president to everybody in the organization has to commit to it. So we opened up that first Sinorama store, and we've never looked back. Today we have over 200 locations across the country. We own our own headquarters building in Sydney and have 25 employees, salespeople, directors, and support, marketing, technology, really every aspect of the organization. And it's done extremely well. The only challenge is the flights, the distance. And if you're willing, to get on a plane for 14.5 hours nonstop from LAX to Sydney, it's well worth it. The economy is great. The people are great. But you do have to commit. Now our staff is all Aussies. I think at one time we had 3 or 4 Americans living down here working with the operation because it was growing so much. But now it's a complete Aussie staff, and it's self-sufficient and doing great.
So obviously you've had success here, and it was by you coming and committing to the area. So if another company was listening to this, and we have at United Franchise Group and Transworld the ability to help people come to Australia, but if somebody's listening, kind of what are the few pieces of advice other than having to come here and commit that they have to know that's different than America?
Well, Andy, I was told that this was a short podcast. So, if we're going to talk about the difference between Americans and Aussies, actually, there's not a lot. They're really fun-loving people, a lot of hard workers. Some of the best business people I know are the Australians. I'm a former New Yorker, as I know you're from that area up that way too, Andy, but we're kind of used to confrontation in where we grew up. And the Australians are not high on confrontation. They're not. You kind of have to peel the onion and ask that second and third question when you work with them a lot. Now, I'm not talking about the South Africans that have moved to Australia. They're very aggressive, like New Yorkers. But the born and raised Aussies, they're diplomatic. They're much more diplomatic in that regard. Um, they have a tendency, and over the years, that we've kind of broken through their some stereotypes. Like when I first started, they told me that they don't cold call here, and I told them that Sinorama, we cold call. We go out door to door in the business community and build our business. And the first owners said, we'll do what you tell us if it works, but that's culturally that's different. And those first couple of weeks, it was really funny because they were so surprised how well it worked. And we got here and they said sign writers don't put locations in retail locations. They put them in industrial parks, and we didn't listen to that. And so if I was a company coming to Australia, knowing what I know today, I wouldn't listen to the so-called experts. We engaged with a lot of experts who gave us different pieces of advice, some good, some bad, but don't change your program what works. I was told that, cold calling didn't work, and it did. I was told you can't put sign shops on main retail locations, and they had to be in industrial parks, and we did put them in retail locations, and it worked, as it did in America. So we're very similar in that regard, and so don't change what's worked for you in other countries just because you're coming to Australia. You have to be mindful of the culture and the people and what you're doing, but stay the course on the tried and true things that work. That would be my strongest advice. And I would also say you probably would be better off taking somebody that knows your system and your company and moving them to Australia for a year or two than trying to hire people here and teach them your culture. That is a over 20-year battle that we've been fighting, and we do very well here, but it's run a little differently because the people are different and the culture is different, and that's understandable. So we have great people here. They do a wonderful job, but it's different. It is a little different.
Well, I think it's different in any other country if you're going to move in, but you've done a great job of establishing your brands here, and you have more brands coming. So I'll let you leave off by talking about one or the two brands that you're looking to expand here in Australia.
Well, that's exciting, Andy. I mean, we're up to 9 brands and 1,600 franchisees in 80 countries worldwide. And we don't just bring every single one of the brands to every single one of the countries we're in. We're very strategic about that. And certainly here in Australia, where we have our staff and certain amount of resources and space to work with. So we have to pick and choose a little bit. And we've done that. We've brought John Smith Subs in. And next up is Venture X will be opening up here, our co-working space. We have 4 deposits for franchises now across the country. And that'll be exciting. And then you can look for the Great Greek, and for us to bring Greek food, which have some great Greek food here, but not as good as the Great Greek. And that's going to be really exciting, bringing that to Australia as well. So from our standpoint, we do it kind of in steps. And when we're ready and we feel that Australia is ready, then we make the move to bring in the next brand. As I said, we have over 200 franchisees in the country right now, and that is continuing to grow and service. And with Transworld, Andy, we are building and growing a great company with Transworld here in Australia, and they're servicing our other franchisees who want to retire or sell their business. And it works so well together when we get them working together and all the brands working together. So Australia continues to be a trip I make, and each year I'm down to 1 or 2 trips a year, and where my height it was 4 trips a year, and so like I said earlier, if you want to grow somewhere, you got to go, and so that's what our mantra is. So.
Yeah, thank you, Ray. The great job, and great success story for Transworld. Thank you for all your help. We really appreciate UFG's support in growing Transworld, and we're looking forward to many more trips here to Australia. It's been a great week, and we're looking to get home, but we're looking to come back.
Good day, mate. Good day.
Thanks for tuning in to our show today. If you like the podcast, don't forget to subscribe through your favorite podcasting app and leave us a review. If you have questions or suggestions for the show, visit us at tworld/thedealboard or email us at thedealboard@tworld.com.